RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of The Rational Investor. This is Julian. I'm on the camera for once, as you can see. Sorry we're late. You know, it turns out when you use video equipment, it never works the same. It never works the same. I apparently don't even look the way that I look in real life on this camera. Everyone says that, you know, that's you, really? They think I maybe they're just being nice. I don't know. They think I look better in real life and on this camera for some reason. I don't know. I have a terrible camera setup. I apparently don't look on the camera like I look in real life. I'm gonna do something that I do every week for some reason after I start the show, which is load the YouTube. Sorry that I'm late again. Let's jump into things tonight. What is there to talk about? The great thing about this show is we talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. And if you want to talk about specific, detailed things, we do that also in the Afterparty. All right, we've got OBS on the right. I've got YouTube on the left. And myself talking, which I'm going to make sure is muted. Okay, play. Hello, everybody. Hello, Quinn. Hello, Forrest. Hello, DMAC. How is living in Thailand today? Well, living in Thailand is pretty great most of the time. Today, skiing was amazing. Omar asked how was skiing. Skiing was great. Living in Thailand is always good for the most part. What happened today, you know, the last 2 days, there's been like no pollution. So that's been nice. It's pollution season. So it's been a bit, you know. Speaking of baby powder, I went to Lululemon today. They have a Lululemon store in Bangkok now. And I bought 2 like nice Lululemon tank top shirts. But because I knew I was going to be walking around a lot today, I did use some baby powder. They have this cooling baby powder. Let me tell you, you haven't tried baby powder until you've tried the cooling baby powder. That is interesting. It's certainly a unique feeling. And then I tried to have some noodles, but the line was too long. You would think at like 12:30 in the afternoon or 1 p.m. in a random mall in Thailand, like there would not be a line for the overpriced noodle place. You would think they'd like go outside and get the cheaper one, but everybody likes the one in the mall that costs actually $10 to $15 for noodles. Thailand is not as cheap as people think these days. I spent, not counting the Lululemon purchase, if we don't count Lululemon, I probably spent like $45 or $50 today just on eating out and going places. I don't know if that's considered a lot or not. I haven't been back to the US in a long time. You guys tell me. Anyway, that was my life today. Let's get into the stock market. You guys don't care about this stuff. I'm going to shrink myself as usual. Is this small enough? You guys think this is small enough or should I be a little bit bigger? How about this? Maybe that's better. I'm going to put myself over a little bit over here. We're going to get rid of this background display. And we're going to change to, oops, nope, display capture, media. Yeah, here we go. This is what we want. I'm going to refresh this. We're going to refresh this. We're going to refresh the investor sentiment. We're going to look at Forex Factory. We're going to talk about Brian's Tesla short for sure. We can talk about that. We can look at it, see what I think. Yeah, Quinn, exactly. Yeah, Forrest, nothing's really cheap no matter where you go. I'm looking at changing condos here, and the minimum I'm finding is kind of like $2,000 a month if I want like a decent place. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I don't mind. It's not gonna put a dent in the bank for me, but this is not soda, by the way, for anybody curious. This is 0% soda water. So just like carbonated, slightly lemon flavored water, not being unhealthy. I will always be healthy. Not going to make any sacrifices with that. All right, let's go to January 26th. What's happening today with the news? Thursday, we had ECB press conference. Advanced GDP came in. Oh, advanced GDP 3.3% versus 2% and estimate. And unemployment claims were up. Interesting. Wow, quite the spike versus previous month. Unemployment claims were really up. Huh. This is interesting right here. Did you guys see this? That's not a good... So keep in mind that when unemployment spikes, that's when we actually see the market roll over. So it'd be interesting. I want to keep an eye on this data point. We did initially see a spike a couple months ago, but it didn't end up playing out. So I want to keep an eye on this. GDP being up this high is surprising versus the 2% forecast. Vast GDP. Huh. All right, well, that's the news. I don't think I have to go into detail on anything else. Anything coming out tomorrow? Core PCE price index. This is going to be big. So this is something to watch out for. Core PCE price index. If you're trading anything on a short-term basis, this is something you're going to want to watch out for and be careful with. Let's look at investor sentiment. All right, so we're down to 39.3%, 34%. So it seems like a lot of people have no idea what's happening. Bears still relatively low. Relatively low. I want to see more bulls to really feel comfortable with any kind of short in the market. Let's look at repurchase agreements, overnight repo. It's kind of stagnated. We were expecting initial like major downtrends, but it looks like it's stagnating. Look at this stagnation here. Since the beginning of January, it's kind of, I'm surprised it hasn't been drawing down. So it looks like we're getting a leveling off of the repurchase agreements. That's also interesting. I think there was something that changed with the Fed's like short-term funding window program. Did you guys read about that? The short-term funding changed. I'm going to look that up. Short-term funding. The bank financing program, emergency lending, bank financing program, bank financing, emergency lending. Yeah. So here we go on routers right here. Fed to allow emergency make bank lending program to expire on March 11th. We kind of knew that was going to happen. But the other thing they did, they raised the interest rate for the remainder of its life, effectively ending what had become a popular and profitable arbitrage opportunity for U.S. lenders. So analysts say this is going to deter fresh borrowing. I wonder how that's going to affect the market regarding liquidity. So this is something that came out recently that I think everyone should be aware of, and that leads me back to a special chart I have here, which only updates once a week, unfortunately. But in the green, we have what is basically a good metric of liquidity, and then I have Bitcoin and I have the S&P. So first of all, look at how Bitcoin and the S&P have totally diverged. Bitcoin is in yellow and the S&P is in orange. And then we have the liquidity index, essentially the liquidity index right here. And you can see it only updates once a week, right? So January 15th, January 22nd, and it's basically stagnated here, where Bitcoin has started to pull back. However, you can see this big spike, and the market took off with the spike and also this spike. It's not really that useful, in my opinion, because it's not really predictive of the future market movements. It seems to just run in line. And I think it only gets updated like a week after it happens. So the money is injected, the market runs up, and then it gets updated one day later. It's not really that predictive. I mean, you can look back here in 2021 when it fell. You had this big drop, for example, and that was right at the top, and then it rolled over. So sometimes it is useful, but other times I feel it's not really that helpful or that accurate, but it is something I'm watching, and I'm curious how this is going to be affected by the fact that the lending program was changed, where the banks don't have that arbitrage opportunity anymore. So this is something I'm watching for. You can take a screenshot of these symbols if you want to recreate this. By the way, somebody on the site posted this. Thank you so much, whoever posted this. I forget who did it, but thank you for doing it. Poopy coins in general yet or not? You want to look at. All right, we will get to altcoins. We will look at them. I know that's what you guys are really interested in, but I like to look at the traditional markets first, look at liquidity, because I think that you have, okay, traditional markets here, and then you've got Bitcoin, and then you've got altcoins. So traditional market first, then Bitcoin, then altcoins. That's how it's like a trickle down effect. So that's why I try to focus. We go downhill, if it makes sense. Again, no sugar for anybody watching. All right, let's go to the S&P. What is going on with this insanity? Why is it still going up? I thought we'd roll over here. We stagnated. We had a major trend line. My magical trend line did not work. I'm shocked. I mean, we're overbought on all of these time frames, on the weekly, daily, 12-hour time frames. Stochastic RSI has just been sitting up here forever. Hello, Fed. Welcome, welcome. Always nice to see you. Thank you so much for attending every day. It's really impressive. If anyone should get a medal for consistency, it should definitely be you. I always appreciate you attending. So the market pushed above this kind of line in the sand and had quite a bit of basically like a breakout movement. So I'm not surprised that we're kind of continuing upward in the face of this. You can see, right, how it struggled hard here and then just like launched off. An RSI down here, I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. Delete these, and you can see how it's in the green, pushing higher, pushing higher. I don't really see any big bearish signs yet, but interestingly enough, our breadth indicator, which has been extremely accurate with the S&P, let me show you the statistics. I'm gonna go down here. This is the breadth data sheet that I don't really share publicly. So last update you can see is from 117. I haven't updated it since then, even though it's 10 days later. But we were sitting at 72% accuracy rate, which is pretty good. So the breadth, if you are just a silver member, the breadth index is included for the S&P 500. If you want crypto and some other stuff, you got to sign up for our Pro Tools. I think, and if you want notifications of exactly when the signal comes out, I do think it's worth it. But the point is that since this one is pretty public, I wanted to point out that, the breadth went short today. It said go short. So we are short as per that. So, but it's interesting considering this was almost like a breakout move. Like this is a W, right? So I've got a W in RSI, a confirmation. I've got a W in price, and essentially, price should run up to 5,087. That's what the W is telling me. But at the same time, if I go to a lower time frame, I mean, it looks like you've got a small top building here on like a 4-hour chart. This was your initial breakdown. Now we've got divergence coming in, major divergence here building. And rejections off these highs. So do we pull back and then bounce and then head higher? I'm not 100% sure. I mean, to me, I would be very cautious shorting this here, even though we had a short just fire on our major breadth indicator, which is 72, which has a 72% accuracy over a greater than 2-year trading period. I don't see anything huge here that is making me say go short right now, other than on these lower time frames, this 4-hour. I mean, you could put, I wouldn't be against like a little short here. I mean, the risk to reward on this is pretty good. There's your stop right above the highs, right? And then your take profit would be right at like my midpoint level. 200-day moving average on the 4-hour, 200-point moving average on a 4-hour chart. Right down to these lows. It gives you a 4-to-1 risk reward ratio. You could even go to right here. I mean, that's not a bad trade, right? Very low risk. And you can see the clear, basically divergence here going on. Market going in full boom mode due to the open border policy. Lots of growth coming into the U.S. I don't know if I could agree with that, Forrest. I think a lot of it has to do with all the liquidity slushing around in the system, being pulled out of the reverse repo program. It was basically just excess liquidity that was sitting there that's getting thrown into the market. I think that's a big part of it. Also, companies are reporting earnings this week, so that's also going to affect things more than I believe an open border policy is going to affect things. Do not underestimate the impact of strong earnings and more so central bank policy and what they're kind of doing behind the scenes. All right, so that's the S&P. Maybe we take a quick, I've been watching the NAS 100 lately a lot, which is basically the, like NASDAQ. just the cash market. And you can see it looks almost exactly the same as the S&P. Extremely bullish, no breakdown here at all. I think it's very dangerous to try to short up in here. It does look like a decent short, nice risk reward ratio on this. You could pull it all the way back down to like 16,900. But I think judging by like these higher time frames, you're asking for trouble. You really are. Because there's nothing on a daily chart to tell me, you know, we're going lower. I just don't see it. So I would be careful here now. Originally, I was looking for shorts last week and the week before, but once we broke out from this short range and hit all-time highs, there's really no clear short opportunity for me. There just isn't. Curious what this W looks like. If we look at this W, where does this take us to? Huh. Okay. Right to there. Huh. Interesting that the W basically takes us to this 4.669 level. That's interesting. I mean, it could keep going higher, but this could be used as like potential as a resistance level, potentially. And the fact that our proprietary indicator has gone short, also another indication that maybe we need to pull back here. And the 4-hour charts don't look the best. So like I said, same with S&P, you could hunt little shorts down here. Let's look at gold really quick. What's going on in the gold market? And I always like to look at DXY. So let's do DXY too. DXY. So DXY had an 8 that came in on the daily chart, which explains this pause. I don't know. I mean, the stochastic has been in the buy zone for a very long time, sitting up here. Not in the buy zone, I'm sorry, just in the basically almost overbought zone, bullish zone. I would call it like bullish zone more than overbought. And just sitting up here, but we finally did break down from this uptrend, and it's certainly pausing here with potential for there to be pullback. But if there was going to be a pullback, we should have seen it when the 7 and 8 printed. That was the pullback moment. And now it's like, okay, well, what's happening now? Did we really break down? Is the entire structure broken? I think from an RSI perspective, this is kind of broken to me. Like the short was in this area. This was your short opportunity. And then it should ideally break down. But it is looking very, very much so like it's resistant to said breakdown. Not a clear pattern here at all. I think this could go either way. I think maybe it depends on what comes out tomorrow with the report that we talked about at 8:30. That might affect things. But it has been in bull mode for a while, so a pullback wouldn't be a bad thing, but it would certainly hurt the bullish case that we're looking at here. And that's exactly what this is. And if it does break higher, I mean, obviously your first stop is right up here at this midpoint. And if we can push higher, obviously the next stop is up here. But those aren't guarantees. So that's what we're seeing for the dollar. Hopefully that's helpful. I know it's like there's no real clear trade, but when there's no clear trade, I can't just make one up. Unfortunately, I wish I could. I'd probably lose a lot of money if I did that. Let's look at gold. So gold is what I would call in the no man's zone. On the weekly chart, we're sitting at the VIP line, which is this blue line here. On the 3-day chart, we're also sitting at the VIP line. On the daily chart, we're also basically sitting at the VIP line. So you can look over here and see that almost everything is around that 40 to 50 area. What does that tell you? For me, that tells me that there is a massive amount of indecisiveness with the price, and that trying to long or short this is a dangerous move. I want to see RSI embedded on one side or the other, and then I know that is the direction, and then I just have to find my entry. It's much easier. But this kind of market, it's not clear at all, and you have a higher chance of being wrong than right. So that's why I avoid anytime I see The RSI, I avoid trading. Sorry, guys. Oh. I avoid trading a market anytime I see the RSI in what I consider a no man's zone, which is between the values of basically 45 and 55. 40 and 55. It depends on the market. That's why I created this 1,000-point moving average to kind of create an average, because every market is different. For gold, it's about 50, almost exactly, actually. But anything between 40 and 55, I would say, is pretty much a red flag for trading it. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Oh, 27 people watching. Hello, everyone. Welcome. If you're new, feel free to ask a question. This is a lemon soda with no sugar. It's not really even sweet. It's just like lemon scented, in case you're curious. And I have lots of delicious fruit in my fridge, but I made sure to not take it out this time because I would be eating it and you're going to hear me. It's horrible. All right, so that's gold. We went through gold. We went through the dollar. We went through the S&P. We looked at the NAS 100, which is basically the NASDAQ. What do you guys really care about? You care about crypto. You want to know what the hell is going to happen with crypto. Well, one thing I can tell you is on a daily chart, we've got a TD9 that's coming. Oh, TD9. What does that mean? Well, you can also see on stochastic RSI, we've got a little bit of a divergence developing here. So that means that price is either going to pause or it's going to go higher. It's going to reverse. So let's drill down to these lower time frames and see if we can see anything. Yeah, so look at this. So in this 4 hour, basically you had this happen, right? Like that. And price bounced, fake out, rolled to new lows, bounced. And now it's getting ready to create the next bounce to head higher. That's the scenario. It's looking more bullish than bearish to me, but I don't like that everything is below. Most things are below the 40. This, especially the daily at 38, but it does have a TD9. The weekly, see the weekly still looks pretty bullish. But you see how we had a 9 come in on the TD on the weekly? I talked about this before. Nobody should be surprised about this pullback. I think this is one of the most obvious pullbacks that I've seen in a while. As long as this RSI trendline is intact, I'm okay with the bull Bitcoin story. If this breaks down, then I become concerned. But as of now, there's a lot of support for Bitcoin, especially between this 30,500 and this 33,000 area. I think there's lots and lots of support. I don't see why Bitcoin couldn't pull back to here. It would actually be quite healthy, I think, to do that and tag it. However, this daily doesn't look great. I don't like that it's basically embedded. The 9 does give it some hope, but it's kind of looks like it's embedded to the downside. Yeah, this 1 hour looks like it's rolling over. I mean, that's, yeah, Bitcoin had this major run. I'm trying to think if I have anything else I want to say on this. We can look at the total index, but it's really not going to give much different information. It's the same. Look at it. This looks basically the same as Bitcoin. We rejected from this 50%. We're breaking down. If we look at a daily chart, major breakdown, no real reversal. The only thing giving me confidence of reversal is the TD9. But really, until I see, I like kind of looking at a 12 hour, just similar to daily, but gives me a little bit more data points. Until I see a clear W and RSI, I can't get too bullish on something. I mean, if this, the one thing is that this is supposed to be a 200-day moving average, and we're at the 12 hour. So if the 12 hours are already there, that's pretty good. And then the daily is right here. I see it as it usually works as a decent support level. Things could pull back all the way to here. It looks quite bearish, to be honest. It doesn't look. The only thing that gives me confidence in the bull case is the TD9 because it works so well. But when the market looks this bearish, more likely than not, you're going to continue heading lower. So be careful with crypto here. Could we bounce? Yes. Could we head lower? Definitely yes. So the question is, what do you do? Well, I would say this is one of those scenarios again where, I mean, and I feel like a broken record talking about this in multiple markets. This is one of those scenarios where you basically do nothing. You just sit on your hands. If you don't have a clear view of the situation directionally, then it's better to sit on your hands than lose money. Like, take less trades. Just take less trades. Wow, 31 people. I'm really surprised we have 31 people watching. 31 people watching and nobody talking. All right, so that's the total. How long have I been going for? 25 minutes. All right, we'll go another 5 minutes, and then we'll jump into the after party. We talked about total Bitcoin. Let's look at, everyone loves Solana. Let's look at Solana. Okay, weekly chart, still bull trend, still intact. Looking decent. 3-day, can't really read much from that. Let's get more daily data on the daily. The daily did break down, and now we've basically got this. So I want to see a breakout on the other side of this RSI trend line. The fact that a 7's already come in, though, it's like it gives me pause and concerns me that there might be a major reversal soon. But I can't take that trade until I see the RSI on the other side of this trend line. Then I'll be a lot more confident in a potential upward move. 200-day moving average right down here at 45. That also could act as a good support. Plus, you've got a major base level support here. Right now, we're dealing with this cluster. So once it pushes down, Solana pushes. If it pushes further down, it's going to drop pretty quickly to this next support level at $46. So if you are holding a lot of Solana, you better pray for this line in the sand to hold, because if it doesn't, price is dropping almost in half. So that's something that's really concerning. Yeah, 4 hour. I mean, let me see here. 4 hours almost too low time frame, but you can see how price respected this trend line and got rejected. Plus an 8 and 9 came in, so it all kind of adds up. I wouldn't touch this yet. I want to see an RSI on the other side of this downtrend line. For now, this is still a downtrending crypto market. Okay, so I think I kind of covered everything I wanted to cover. I'm gonna take like a glad you like the advice, Persik. Wow, we have 35 people watching. I'm kind of surprised by that. We normally have like 25. Must be because everything's moving a lot in the market. Is there anything in particular you guys want to talk about quickly? Otherwise, I'm going to sign off and we're going to switch to the private broadcast where I answer any and all questions about any individual stocks or crypto coins just for members. Okay, 35 people, 33 watching but not talking. All right. Minimal interaction. Well then, on that note, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really want to talk about. No, I think, yeah, smash the like button. Thank you. I'm going to smash it for myself. Sorry, guys. I think on that note, let's jump into the after party. I've got a bunch of names I want to go through and stuff I'm watching. Cotter's going to be there. He might bring up a name that he has. Yeah, and I think we'll call it a day for the public daily brief. If you're not a member of TRI, consider heading over, joining with a free trial. It's free. There's no costs. And then come over into the after party where we share the real value and go into the individual names that you might want to buy or you might want to short. All right. I will see most of you over there. And if I don't, I hope you have a really great weekend.